I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling on my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get ready to cap off what's been an exciting race weekend here in our first road course stop of the season. We get set here for race number 8 of season 8 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series here from Napa Valley. This is wine country. This is Sonoma Raceway. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Seth Cole, and if you haven't tuned in to any of the races so far here this weekend, to let you know right now, we were originally supposed to be running that Circuit of the Americas. We had some technological, logistical problems. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. We weren't able to run that racetrack, so we're back here at Sonoma for the first time in 2 seasons. Last time we were here back in season 6, it's a race we kind of want to forget. Yes, it marked a historic moment where we saw Mazda finally break into the winner's circle for the very first time in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series history, but it was a wreck fest. Let's not sugarcoat it. It was an absolute wreck fest. We spent more laps under pacing than we did under green. It was basically restart after restart after restart. We'd get 1 or 2 green flag laps in, immediately the caution would come out. Track position came into play, pit strategy kind of came into play because of us being under the caution so many times, and eventually it was Nick Gunther who went to victory lane for, as I just mentioned, Mazda's first ever win in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series history. But based off what we saw yesterday in the Duracell Ultra Light Series race, I think hopefully we have gotten those kinks out. We are going to be able to have long green flag racing. If it holds true with yesterday as well, pit road is going to play a massive part into the outcome of today's race. Another thing that if it holds true with yesterday is track position is going to be very important as well. We eventually saw Roberto Crown Jr. go on to victory lane. He qualified inside of the top 5. So keep an eye on some of these drivers that benefited from a good qualifying position in yesterday's qualifying session, including Zachary Fitzwater, our pole sitter here today. Fitzwater looking to go back to victory lane. It's been a while since he's been in victory lane, as a matter of fact. A bit of a winless streak for him, and he would love in his new ride over Blue Oval Automotive to pick up a victory here at this road course. Fitzwater very good when it comes to road course racing. Zachary comes into this race currently 32nd in the points. He had a decent outing last week at Indianapolis that jumped him up 4 spots, and obviously brought a very fast Ford Dark Horse Mustang to Sonoma this weekend. It's an all blue oval front row, as Daniel Voiles is going to share the outside of the front row with Fitzwater. Daniel Voiles, another driver who had a great run last week at Indianapolis, a solid top 10 finish, jumped him up 4 spots in the standings, but it's moved him only up to 35th in points. A very struggling start to the year for the driver out of World NOS Racing. He's hoping that last week was the turnaround, and this week will be the continuation of that upwards momentum. Another driver that comes into this race really looking for a good run. He's not having a horrible season, but he's not having a great season either. He's right in the middle of the point standings. 21st in points is Cody Lamas, another driver that had a good run last week at Indianapolis as he gained 3 spots in the standings. 2 top 10s on the season, but still looking for that first top 5. Good starting track position today for that driver. And then Anthony McCrory, we saw him in the Light Series race yesterday. Didn't have the best of runs. He finished dead last. He finished running, but he finished dead last in that start. And he's got good starting track position here today, though, on the outside of row number 2. Anthony comes into this one 29th in the point standings. Now, while Fitzwater, Voiles, and Lamas all had decent runs last week at Indianapolis, Anthony did not have a good run. He dropped 3 spots in the standings, so looking to bounce back again here today. Reggie Fogelman was one of several drivers, along with Anthony McCurry and Destin Bowen, that you see actually out there on the outside of row number 3, that took part in the Light Series race here yesterday, and he netted a top 10 run, did Reggie Fogelman. Fogelman, of course, also coming into the momentum of the great run he had last week at Indianapolis. He jumped up 9 spots in the point standings to 19th. We'll see if maybe that car is on the upwards trend as well. And Destin Bowen, as mentioned, he took part in the Lights race yesterday. That was his first Lights start of his career. A lot of talk around this 0-2 coming into this weekend, because there was a lot of talk about him last week going into Indy below the 30th in the standings cut line. That win at Pocono, null and void as of right now towards a playoff spot. And then what happened? He suffered a DNF, finished 41st at the Brickyard, and dropped even further in the standings. He is 38th in the overall points coming into this one. Now, granted, he is only 27 points below the 30th in the standings cut line. And as mentioned, good starting track position here today. He's got some added reps, some added laps in the Lights race yesterday, so maybe that translates into a good run for him this afternoon. Who knows? Maybe it's in the cards for him to be the first repeat race winner, I should say, on the season. So far, we have gone 7 for 7 in different drivers going to victory lane. The most recent of those, James Qualls, but he starts very deep in the field here this afternoon. Let's go down trackside. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports and get ready to go racing here this afternoon at Sonoma.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
I'm up in the center of 1 and 2 up here, so as you're going down the back stretch into 3, it may appear to me that they're inside, but they may be just shy of that. I'll really try to stay on top of that all night, bud.
Take a look on the right side of your screen at this afternoon's starting lineup, and you're going to have to wait till we get to page 2 before you see a lot of your drivers up there in the top 10, top 5 in the point standings. I believe the highest running driver off the grid that's top 5 in points is Jack Mitchell, and he's starting back, I think it was around the 28th position. Levi McIntyre, Joshua Osborne, James Qualls, Cole Deaver way deep in the field. As a matter of fact, Deaver going to be starting in the final row with McIntyre. Levi, though, after a great run last week at Indianapolis, he is the points leader, 5 points in hand over the former points leader, Jack Mitchell. Joshua Osborne, 14 points back in 3rd. James Qualls, after his victory last week at Indy, 23 points back in 4th. Cole Deaver, 5th in points, 28 points out. Benjamin Miles, who roll off the grid from 8th here this afternoon, he's 6th in points, total of 29 points back. Ryan Brommer starting this race just outside the top 10 in 12th. He's 7th in points, 39 points back. Matt McIntyre starting this race inside of the top 15. He is 8th in points, 41 points back. Eric Sadler, after the dead last finish last week at Indy, just off the heels of his first career win the week before at North Wilkesboro, he's 9th in points, 46 points out. And Eric Monaco, who became the first repeat pole sitter on the season last week at Indy, but drifted through the field on the long run, dropped 3 spots in the standings, down to 10th in points coming into this afternoon's race, 48 points out of the points lead. Wildcard positions currently being held by Carson Gum, who's 11th in overall points. Matt Haas, our winner at the Daytona 500, 15th in overall points. Nathan Ormond, our winner from Manassas, 22nd in overall points. And then the final 3 positions to the 3 drivers highest in the points outside of the top 10, which right now would be 12th, 13th, and 14th in points. Michael Norman, Alexander Rowe, and Laura Chung. Well, Nick Gunther, the defending winner of this race from 2 seasons ago, he's starting pretty deep in the field. Who's going to be picking up the first road course win of the season here at Sonoma Raceway? 45 laps of racing. We saw the fuel window about 15 to 16 laps yesterday. We've been told that It may be close to the same here this afternoon. They may be able to extend it to 20 laps, maybe 25. There's a lot of question marks here with the PTA physics as to what the fuel window really is. Saw in qualifying yesterday, they have 5th and 6th gear available, but there's really no area here that's long enough for them to really utilize it. Really, we'll only see them getting up to about 4th gear for their high gear this afternoon, but that wing with added downforce will be interesting to see how that plays out. As here we go. Zachary Fitzwater, the PerTech Ford Dark Horse Mustang brings us down. The Alliance Truck Parts 225K is green at Sonoma. How about Daniel Voiles fighting hard and takes the lead from Fitzy? Second place now under contest, Anthony McCrory and Zachary Fitzwater. Didn't see a whole lot of battling on the track in the lights race yesterday. Things got pretty single-filed out, and it was basically driver versus racetrack at that point. We'll see if we're going to have any passing here this afternoon on the Cup side, as Fitzwater will hold off McCrory for second place. Destin Bolin picked up a few spots there on this first lap, getting by Cody Lamas and Reggie Fogelman. Moving up to fourth with Cody in the fifth spot. Little wide there for Destin Bolin. Here comes Cody and Benjamin Miles in a three-way battle for fourth. Bolin will hang on to the spot as Daniel Voiles out in front in the 26 car. It's been a while since Daniel Voiles has been to victory lane. Got to go all the way back to season 6 when he took the checkered flag at North Wilkesboro. So he's been running a 2+ season winless streak. And that car really looked strong there. The initial get-go didn't have the preferred lane up the S's heading into turn 4, but took the top spot and now looks to open up the gap. Back to Fitzy, who looks back to Anthony McCrory and Destin Bolin. Side-by-side battle through the S's. That's Reggie Fogelman and Casey Hoyt for, I believe that is the 7th position. Hoyt challenged. Fogelman will turn the challenge back, at least for the time being. Kyler Sustre with a step-out move on R.J. Bishop ahead. Quentin Moore on Ryan Brommer. Moore looking for 9th. Sustre looking for 11th. And neither driver going to be able to complete the pass out of the paperclip turn 11. A lot of drivers up here with good qualifying efforts, needing good runs here this afternoon. I've already documented about Voiles and Fitzwater and McCrory and Lamas. Casey Hoyt back there, 26th in the standings. He needs a good run this afternoon. Austin LaPlante just on the outside of the top 10, 14th place last time by. I mean, he really needs a good run this afternoon. And no really one-off drivers here this weekend. We had 3 drivers failed to qualify in a one-off attempt here this week. Ralph Mason was looking to make his first Cup start of the season, as too was Andrew Miller. They both failed to qualify in yesterday's knockout qualifying session, along with the former champion Chris Dollerton, who was also looking to make his first start of the season. We saw Mason and Dollerton in the lights race later on that afternoon, yesterday afternoon. But the 2 full-time non-charter drivers actually qualified their way in, Autumn Brooks and Bryce Egan. Egan right now in 16th. Autumn Brooks last time by scored in 24th. As a matter of fact, Autumn Brooks is back in a nice little battle. Let's see if we can fall back to that area. Here we go. Laura Chung just up ahead. Connor Breton just behind. These drivers have been jostling for position quite a bit. Got a battle here. Eric Monaco and Benjamin Snyder through turn number 4. Benjamin Snyder, who almost won this event 2 seasons ago. Got a restart violation late, finished 4th place. Ooh, near contact there between himself and the defending Light Series champion Eric Monaco. Monaco, your current rookie points leader coming into this one. 3 points in hand over Eric Sadler. It's been the Eric and Eric show for a good portion of the beginning of this season. As Jack Mitchell trying to make a move there on Kyle Matthews. That's for 27th. And remember, we talked about the fact that Mitchell, oh, we got a caution, first caution of the day, but Mitchell, of the drivers inside the top 5, had the best starting track position. But this will be interesting now. First yellow of the afternoon coming out. We had to wait until the last lap in yesterday's Light Series race to see the caution. This might make things interesting in terms of pit strategy, as Daniel Voiles, probably the one driver that didn't want to see that yellow. He had opened up almost a 3-second gap back to Fitzwater, and now everybody will be caught back up as some damage on the right side of our Daytona 500 winner, Matt Haas, who very well might have been the reason for this yellow. Jessica Shelton also at the tail end of this group, and I believe she qualified higher than that. See if we find out what exactly happens here, and I think it is the 94 that gets out of shape. This is heading into turn 7 in preparation for the S's. Tries to get the inside of Nick Gunther and makes contact, goes around, and well, Matt Haas had apparently gotten into something earlier because he swings wide to avoid Shelton, already has that right side damage. Let's see if we can find out while we got the opportunity where that damage came from for Haas. It might have been on the very first lap of this race. Oh, we had actually an incident that didn't bring out a caution back on lap 1 involving Matt Haas and Levi McIntyre. Let's take a look at that. 3 wide. And Haas kind of runs McIntyre out of room. They both get that steel guardrail. So damage on both sides for Matt Haas, damage on the left side for Levi McIntyre. So tough out of the gate for the driver that got the first checkered flag of the season at Daytona, and the driver that came into this race as the points leader, as pit road is open, and not really much of a surprise. Looks like everybody's making the dive down pit road. Now again, we're not exactly certain what the fuel window is, but the reason everybody is pitting right now is because you can extend the fuel window out a little bit further for when you would have to pit under green. Take the opportunity and pit here under caution when everybody is bunched up, rather than wait to make the pit stop under green flag conditions. Everybody got to be careful here with pitting as well. We saw pit road mistakes yesterday cost a couple of drivers a chance at, if not a race victory, a decent finish. As battle off of pit road, Voiles is going to get it. A little slow stop there for Zachary Fitzwater in that number 1 pit box. It'll be Voiles, McCrory, Destin Bolin, Benjamin Miles, and then I think Fitzy, your top 5, leaving pit road. Casey Hoyt, Ryan Brommer, RJ Bishop, Caleb Fogler, and I believe that was Austin LaPlante completing the top 10. We had all drivers on the lead lap, so fortunately we have expedited road course yellows here, so we should get the lights out. There you see them. Lights out already atop the pace truck, and we're going to go back green flag racing this next time around. Check back towards the rear of the field. Matt Haas going to leave pit road, so too does Levi McIntyre and Jessica Shelton. So it looks like everybody is going to continue and all be on the lead lap. So that is good news. Working our first caution of the afternoon after Shelton spun it around right here at the top of turn 7. Daniel Voiles has led the first 5 laps of this race so far. He'll be the one to get us back under the green. We gave you the top 10. Looks like Carson Gum going to restart 11th. Quentin Moore in 12th. Kyler Sustre, Alexander Rowe in 14th and 15th with Dylan, or in 13th and 14th with Dylan Young, completing your top 15. Well, they went 3 wide as we saw there back on lap 1 with a double file start. It'll be a single file restart here. How anxious will these drivers be to try and get that extra position or two with everybody bunched back up? Daniel Voiles checked out on the rest of the field there on the initial start, but that was when Fitzwater was running second. Now Anthony McCurry's Panda Express Mazda looms large in his rearview mirror. Will Anthony, Destin Bolin, Benjamin Miles be able to keep pace with the Oreo Ford Mustang? Pace truck ready to make the left-hand dive onto pit road. Field will make their way through turn 11 onto the front straight and get ready to get back under green. So the fuel window extends a little bit. If indeed around 20 to 25 laps is the fuel window for these drivers, the pit stops will be taking place in the second half of this race, and it may be the only stop these drivers will now have to make the entirety of the event under green flag conditions. That's if we don't see another yellow. Green flag in the air. Voiles back up through the gears. Destin Bolin taking a look on Anthony McCurry for second place. McCurry slams the door. That's now going to open up the opportunity for Benjamin Miles to look for third on the Maxwell House 02. Bolin, though, keeps himself side by side with McCurry. McCurry will have the slightly preferred line here, the inside into the right-hand turn 4. Bolin swings it wide onto the rumble strip. They're going to keep this battle for second place going, heading over to turn 7. And they may take this even into the S's. Bolin with a lift there. McCurry now with a lift here. Fitzwater very wide, almost off course there for a moment. Bolin with the wide swing and the momentum around the top. Can he get McCurry here into turn 11? McCurry still to driver's right. Destin might get the run here off of the final corner and clear for the top position. He will. McCurry, whoa, wanted to slam the door on Benjamin Miles. Contact between the two now. Miles looking for third. McCurry says no. He will slam the door here going up the hill. And now Casey Hoyt will look for fourth place on his teammate. And as all that battling for second place was going on, Daniel Voiles said thank you very much, and he opened up over 3 seconds in 1 lap alone. Teammates for fourth. Season 7 Rookie of the Year Casey Hoyt completes the pass around Benjamin Miles, who slot back to fifth. Ooh, Fitzwater drove it in deep there to turn 7. Almost got into the back of Benjamin Miles and almost got off course. He's now got R.J. Bishop hounding him for the 6th spot. Destin Bolin pulling away from Anthony McCurry after getting the runner-up position. Will keep tabs on his lap times as opposed to Daniel Voiles. Car on pit road I just saw back there. That looked like the 88 of Connor Breton. Unscheduled pit stop for him. I'm not necessarily even certain if he brought that car to pit road under power or if he had to call for a tow. We are still green though. Nathan Ormond a long ways back here in the 23. I wonder if he and Breton might have had something happen that didn't necessarily bring out a yellow flag. If something did occur, you guys will be seeing it courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam, but Breton, 3-time winner last season. Nathan Ormond, a winner this season at Manassas. Nathan Orman just ran his fastest lap of the race, but it was 0.2 slower than Daniel Voiles. McCurry holding down third place with Hoyt and Miles the top 5. Miles, the closest one up here inside the top 5 with a challenge. That's Fitzwater, the pole sitter, closing in. RJ Bishop also trying to close up there along with Ryan Brommer. 7th in points coming into this race. Connor Breton, I believe, is still on pit road in the 88 car. According to scoring, it looks like he may have actually had to tow back to pit lane, so I'm wondering if maybe he got off course into the sand trap and was not able to get back onto the racing surface. Again, you guys have already seen what's happened. I'm just speculating because I have not seen the footage of what occurred to Breton, but he has right now scored 1 lap down and still sits on pit lane. So this is going to not be a good points day for Breton. He came into this race already mired 37th in the point standings. Only 1 top 10 so far in the first 7 races. One thing that we were doing when observing the drivers in yesterday's Duracell Ultralight Series race was keeping an eye on tire fall off. There was a huge amount of tire degradation, as much as 2.5 seconds on the long run. Already Daniel Voiles that last time by ran 0.6 of a second slower than his fastest lap at a 1:12.797. That last time by 1:13.370. And Destin Bolin ran just about an identical lap time as Daniel Voiles right there, was 2 thousandths quicker. Third place on back, starting to accordion up there. Casey Hoyt trying to reel in Anthony McCrory. Mentioned about the fact Anthony did not have the best of runs yesterday afternoon. When he got into Nathan Stapleton, who was coming off of pit lane, McCrory was up to speed trying to get around as almost off the track was Casey Hoyt there. But despite the fact that Anthony finished dead last in the lights race, he was able to at least complete all the laps, and that gave him some added experience here, and obviously with good starting track position this afternoon, putting it to good use, holding down the 3rd position. Now the day gets worse for Connor Breton. They have pushed the Interstate Battery Chevrolet Camaro behind the wall. He will finish 42nd here this afternoon. So Connor Breton really going to need something. I mean, I feel like I'm saying that for a lot of drivers, but I mean, it's not necessarily a must-win situation yet. We've still got a lot of regular season to go, but man, in terms of momentum and confidence boost, 88 needs a top 10, top 5 run next week at Texas. That time by 0.6 of a second quicker, Voiles over Destin Bolin. So Voiles is continuing to pull away, as we'll stay back here in the battle for 3rd place between McCrory and a couple of Northeast Motorsports teammates, Casey Hoyt and Benjamin Miles, who gets a little wide there through the S's, and Fitzwater will start to close up to try and break back into the top 5. We didn't, unfortunately, get to run Circuit of the Americas here this weekend, but we will be in the Lone Star State next week at the Texas Motor Speedway. All nighttime racing. Qualifying for the lights drivers Friday at 7. Cup drivers will have their qualifying session Saturday at 5. The lights race will follow a couple of hours later at 7 that Saturday, and then Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the Cup Series drivers to cap off that weekend. Benjamin Miles started out the season really good. He was the points leader. Lost the points lead eventually then to Jack Mitchell. Mitchell's now lost it to Levi McIntyre, but Benjamin Miles coming to this one 6th in overall points. He is despite the fact that Casey Hoyt's running well here today, if we're looking at overall performance, he's really the only driver out of Northeast Motorsports that has had a good season. Casey Hoyt, 26th in points. Connor Breeden, 37th in points. Austin Plant, 41st in points coming into this weekend. And already we've seen one of the Northeast Motorsports cars encounter problems here today with Breeden out of the race. So for the fact that Benjamin Miles has been able to keep himself up there in the top 10 in the standings while all his other teammates have struggled in the first 7 weeks, pretty good showing there for them, and right now holding down a spot inside of the top 5. You talk about a team that's struggling. Young Motorsports last week at Indianapolis struggled mightily. Destin Bolin, Eric Sadler finished out of the race. Dylan Young had a mechanical problem and finished way off the pace. RJ Bishop was the only driver out of that team that had a good run, and he didn't even finish inside of the top 10. Right now, though, he's holding down 7th place. Having a great run in that Monster Energy 4 GT500. RJ coming into this one 17th in overall points. He gained 3 spots in the standings last week as he looks to the inside of Fitzy here. Heading into turn 7. This is going to be a good battle down the S's. Who's going to win out? I think it's going to be Bishop. I think he's going to complete the pass. Oh, Fitzwater trying to battle back, though. This upcoming right-hander is going to be the deciding factor. Who keeps their foot in the throttle longer? Bishop does as Fitzwater runs wide. Bishop going to complete the pass. And that moves him up to 6th. Ryan Brommer, Cody Lamas, both very wide through that corner. That's the battle right now for 8th place. Talked about it in qualifying yesterday. Ryan Brommer, it's the best start that he's had to a season since jumping over to Auto Junction Racing. 7th in points coming into this one. Average finish position of around 16th. Very quiet here in the beginning stages of the season, which means he could be very dangerous we get to the midway portion or late in this regular season. And continuing the consistency here, holding down a spot inside of the top 10. Meanwhile, top 2 have completely gapped the field. Daniel Voiles right now about 4 seconds ahead of Destin Bolin. Destin Bolin another near 6 seconds ahead of Anthony McCrory. So as of right now, it's looking like it could come down between these two maybe for the race victory. Obviously a long ways to go. We've still got at least 1 round of pit stops to get through. Maybe a second. We're not 100% certain on that front. And both drivers that fit the really need a race win category. Both drivers outside of the top 30 in points. Let's drop back to the rear of the field. Remember, we talked about the fact that your top 5 in the point standings all qualified outside of the top 25. Let's see where they're currently at right now. Levi McIntyre, who we know had to have some damage repair on that pit stop after getting into the guardrail on lap 1. He's now in the 35th position. Move a little further up ahead. 30th place is where we'll find Joshua Osborne, 3rd in the standings. Cole Deaver, who started this race dead last, he's picked up 14 spots since the start. He's up to 28th right now, so a net gain. James Qualls, last week's winner and 4th in points, is up to 26th. But the biggest gainer out of all this has been Jack Mitchell. He's now up to the 24th position, just ahead of Benjamin Snyder. So right now, I believe according to live scoring, Jack Mitchell will take the points lead back from Levi McIntyre heading into Texas next week. Saw Nick Gunther as we were cycling through here, the defending winner of this race from 2 seasons ago. He's mired back in traffic, right now in the 33rd position. And look who's right behind him, Charles Samper, who gained the most spots in points last week after a great run at Indianapolis. He went up plus 11 from 38th to 27th. He may give a lot of those spots back, as right now he is mired back in the 34th position. Eric Monaco right now in 31st place. Let's see where Eric Sadler is currently at. There he is in 27th, and I don't think there's any rookies separating the 12 and the 45. So right now it would be only 1 point gained, Sadler over Monaco, cutting the rookie points lead down to 2 points. Matt McIntyre, top 10 in points, 8th in the standings coming into this one, right now holding down 18th place. And the Mac Tools Ford, and a car that had a great run last week, Alexander Rowe at Indianapolis, right now 17th place for him. 13th in points coming into this one, knocking on the door of the top 10 in the standings. Second most positions gained last week was Reggie Fogelman. He jumped up 9 spots from 28th to 19th. Saw he had a great qualifying effort, rolled off from the 5th position, but he has drifted back to 16th right now, right behind his teammate Kyler Sustre. Carson Gum came into this race actually tied with Eric Monaco for the 10th position in the point standings. Our Las Vegas race winner right now holding down 14th position. And with Sadler and Monaco running back behind him, Carson Gum right now, I believe, would be in line to move back up into the top 10 in points. A little left side damage there on the Lowe's for Pros Chevrolet of Austin the Plant. We got some drivers pitting. McCrory, RJ Bishop, Cody Lamas, all on pit lane. Anthony pitting from the 3rd spot. So the pit strategy is coming into play, and this is quite early. We went back green on lap 6. These drivers are pitting, well, this is around the 14, 15, 16 lap window that we had originally been considering, so. Did Cody overshoot his pit stall there? Yes, he did. Oh, man, that's going to be costly for him. We were talking about pit road mistakes that we saw yesterday in the lights race, and Cody overshot his stall. That's going to be extra time he'll spend on pit road. We saw this happen to Nathan Fogler in the lights race yesterday as he was en route for a podium finish and ended up finishing 29th out of 30 drivers. Here comes the race leader to pit road. I think Dustin Bolin is staying out an extra lap. So little mind games there between those two, the two fastest cars on the racetrack right now. Let's follow the number 26 down to his pit stall. Voiles has the number 2 pit stall after qualifying 2nd. This pit road agonizingly slow, 35 miles per hour as Voiles pulls in, and he will hit his marks. 4-tire pit stop for him. Dustin Boland, and I believe Reggie Fogelman and Eric Sadler might have been the only drivers that stayed out the extra lap here in terms of the strategy. Dylan Poteet right there ahead of the leader. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. Matt Haas is currently a lap down, as is Kyle Matthews, but they'll get back on the lead lap when the 0-2 hits pit road, which will not be this lap. He's going to stay out another one. So how about that? Dustin Bolin rolling the dice, putting an extra lap on his tires. We'll fall back here to the 2nd place car, Reggie Fogelman, see if he'll be bringing the Taco Bell Toyota to pit lane or not. Nope, looks like he's staying out an extra lap as well. What about Eric Sadler? Sadler will also run another lap. So a couple of Young Motorsports Fords and a Haas Racing Toyota playing the long con in terms of strategy. Shelton off course. No caution. Will remain green at this point in time. Saw right there Cody Lamas way back behind a bunch of drivers. That pit road mistake going to cost him dearly. Brommer and Miles battling here. Not sure what eventually this position will be. Levi McIntyre, the points leader right there on pit road, just completed his service. McCrory going for a spot on Casey Hoyt. This might eventually be for third. Daniel Boyles right now scored in fourth position because we're waiting on 3 drivers to hit pit road, and I believe Destin Bolin has now come to pit lane. So we can expect probably Fogelman and Sadler in this lap. Here comes the 5. And now we'll see if the 12 hits pit road, and this should complete the cycle, which indeed it will. Let's drop back to the 26 of Daniel Boyles and see where he's going to be in relation to Destin Bolin. Was staying out the extra couple of laps going to be the important turning of the tide, if you will, for Destin Bolin to be able to get the track position against the 26, who has led 18 laps so far this afternoon. There's Bolin leaving pit road. Boyles is going to cycle back to the top spot. Destin will have 2 lap fresher tires on this run than Daniel Boyles. We'll see if that comes into play or not. It's like Boyles' up to speed lap was a 1:14.273. That wasn't optimal. That wasn't great. If Destin Bolin can turn a lap here, well, this isn't his up to speed lap yet. But if he's able to turn an up-to-speed lap in the 1:13s, I think Daniel Boyles might see his race lead disintegrate a bit. We'll see. Let's follow Boyles around this time, see what his lap time is. He's got to get back in the 1:13s. His fastest lap is in the 1:12s, the high 1:12s. If he runs another 1:14 this time by, then I'd be a little bit worried about whatever adjustment they might have made on that car. If any adjustment at all. $1:13.2 there for Daniel Boyle, so a little bit better of a lap time. Destin Bolin now on his up-to-speed lap. As Casey Hoyt cycled into the 3rd position, Anthony McCurry fell from 3rd to 4th. Ryan Brommer, we just saw him moments ago, picking up the 5th position against Benjamin Miles, dropping Miles back to 6th. How about Caleb Fogler working his way up through the field now to 7th? Great run for him. His teammate Zachary Fitzwater in 8th. And then Young Motorsports drivers RJ Bishop, Dylan Young in 9th and 10th. Carson Gumbs cycled to 11th. Quentin Moore in 12th. Daniel Bouchard 13th. Kyler Sustre 14th. Alexander Rowe in 15th. 16th was Michael Norman. The strategy call did not work out in the favor of Reggie Fogelman. He's back to 17th. Bryce Egan in 18th, 19th. Matt McIntyre and Summer Henson right now completing the top 20. Battle here between Jack Mitchell, James Qualls, couple of former winners on the season. Mitchell getting his first win of the season at Phoenix. Qualls most recently at Indianapolis. And Cole Deaver continues to try and march his way forward, picking up a spot there on Jack Mitchell, move him to 24th after he started shotgun on the field. Update on Cody Lamas after the pit road mistake. He is on the lead lap still, but back in 37th after pitting from inside of the top 10. Jessica Shelton's continued on after the off-road excursion here up the hill in 1 and 2. Nathan Ormond also running towards the back of the pack, as are Kyle Matthews and Autumn Brooks. Bunch of drivers there. Really would love to see the second caution of the day fly. So far, only one yellow flag. That was back in the early stages of this race after contact at the top of the hill, turn 7. Since then, we have been green flag racing. Can't say clean and green. Connor Breton out of the race. He'll get 42nd here today. The other 41 drivers all running on the lead lap, but incidents on the racetrack, mistakes on pit road have spread this field out, and Daniel Voiles has been the dominant car of the day after wrestling the lead away from pole sitter Zachary Fitzwater at the initial start. He has led 21 laps so far. Only other driver that has led so far today, Destin Bolin, 3 circuits out in the race lead. So the bonus points for lap led is going to be pretty stingy here this weekend at Sonoma, it would appear. And of course, based off of what we saw there with the drivers hitting pit road, they will be on pit lane at least one more time before the conclusion of this race. If the calculations are correct, it would be somewhere in the next 9 to 10 laps. Lap times right now in the favor of Daniel Voiles, despite the fact Destin Bolin has the fresher tires of the two. Voiles last time by was in the mid-113s. Destin Bolin in the 114s, low 114s, and you can see that translates to Casey Hoyt and Anthony McCurry closing up on him for second place. Fantastic run there for Casey Hoyt this afternoon. You know, when we saw his resume coming into this season, his return to the series in a good car, a race-winning car that Matthew Rodriguez put in victory lane last season during the playoffs. You know, thought this was going to, last year would be a breakout year for him. This was going to be just as good a year. Hasn't translated that way for Casey, as he's only scored 1 top 5 so far this season, but this is looking like a Casey Hoyt type race, Casey Hoyt type performance, as he's holding down a spot inside the podium right now. Talked about the fact that Benjamin Snyder almost won this event 2 seasons ago. The car that Snyder drove was the 74 out of Lake Effect Autosport. And of course, Casey Hoyt last season, 3 victories, Rookie of the Year in the 74 car out of that same team. So a little bit of an interesting tie-in there, with Hoyt having the good run here this afternoon in our return to Infineon. Anthony McCurry, a great run here at the track that Mazda got its very first Duracell Cup Series win. Now, in the lights race yesterday, we had 4 of the top 5 in the standings finish in the top 5 in the running order. So, at least up towards the top of the point standings, we didn't have much of a point shakeup. I think with what I'm seeing here today, drivers that came into this race struggling in points that are running well, as opposed to drivers that came in the points running well that are struggling today, I think we're in for another big point shakeup in preparation for Texas next week. Well, Daniel Voiles continues to show the way. We haven't taken a lap around Sonoma yet today, courtesy of anybody. Why don't we hop on board of a Mazda? Why don't we see what Anthony McCurry and the Panda Express number 61 shows us on how to traverse around this racetrack in these next-gen machines. talked about the fact in qualifying yesterday, the next-gen cars with a 6-gear gearbox. We saw that utilized at Indianapolis last week with drivers carrying upwards of over 200 miles per hour into the corners. Here at this racetrack, though, those 2 higher gears not really much in use. Anthony, for the most part, shifting only up to 4th gear as his high gear. He, for a brief moment, down the hill into the right-hand turn 10, shifted up to 5th gear, then to 6th gear, and carried 6th gear over to turn 11 before eventually downshifting to 2nd. So interesting that he would go to the high gear at that portion of the racetrack. But apparently that's his comfort level, and so they are getting to 6th gear just for a brief moment. Right there, they upshifted from 5th to 6th and carrying 6th gear all the way down here to the paperclip right-hander turn 11. So interesting that you'd run that particular straight in the high gear, but right now Anthony in that 4th position as everybody is chasing Daniel Voiles, and I'm not even really sure it's a chase. This is an absolute demolishing of the field by Daniel Voiles. Daniel's got the fastest lap of the day so far at a 1:12.797. And he has 10 seconds plus in hand back to Daniel Voiles. This is, for you old timers, this is a shellacking. And we know that pit road is going to come into play here one more time before the conclusion, but with the gap that Voiles has built up, I'm not necessarily certain that even pit road can offer an opportunity for anybody else to get back into this. The only person that can throw away this win for Daniel Voiles is Daniel Voiles. And I'm talking about execution on pit road. We've already seen a couple of drivers make mistakes here this weekend with overshooting their pit stall, having to back up, and losing valuable time on pit lane and translating into valuable positions. Well, if we talk about the drivers that need good runs here today, how about the former champ Caleb Fogler right now in the 7th position in the Busch Gardens Ford Mustang. Caleb coming into this one 39th in the point standings, and right now in line to make a pretty significant leap in the points. We knew Blue Oval Automotive brought some good speed here this weekend with Fitzwater sitting on the pole position. And right now, 2 of them running up inside of the top 10 with Vogler 7th. There's Fitzwater right behind him in 8th place. The other car, Benjamin Snyder, currently in 22nd. Give you an update of where your drivers in the top 10 in the point standings are currently scored. Levi McIntyre came in the points leader. We documented he was involved in an early incident on lap 1. He has since been able to work his way up to 33rd. Jack Mitchell, 2nd in points, is right now 25th. Joshua Osborne, who was 3rd in points, he's 32nd. James Qualls, coming off the victory last week, 4th in the standings. He has now made his way up to 24th position. Cole Deaver, who started shotgun in the field, 5th in the points. He is right now 23rd. Benjamin Miles, 6th in points. He is up in the 6th position. Ryan Brommer, 7th in the standings, is 1 position ahead in 5th. Matt McIntyre, who was 8th in the standings, he is 19th on the running order right now. Eric Sadler, who was 9th coming into this race, currently finds himself in 27th. And Eric Monaco, who was 10th in points, he currently is scored in the 34th position. So really, with all that being read, the only 2 drivers inside the top 10 in points that are having good runs this afternoon, Ryan Brommer, Benjamin Miles, 5th and 6th positions. So if positions continue to hold where they are right now, expect to see those 2 making some pretty good jumps in the top 10 in overall points. On the flip side, there's going to be a lot of drivers that are going to free fall through the point stands, and one driver that, despite the fact he was involved in the opening lap incident, he's been able to mount a bit of a comeback too. Talking about our Daytona 500 winner, Matt Haas. He is 31st right now on the scoring pile. However, he gained 7 spots in the standings after a great run last week at Indianapolis. He may be giving a lot of those positions back here today. If we're looking at some drivers to pop up into the top 10 with where they're currently running as far as the overall standings are concerned, Carson Gum just on the outside of the top 10 looking in 11th, and he's 11th on the track right now. And RJ Bishop, 17th in points coming into this one. He was only 16 points outside of the top 10 and right now holding down 9th. So we could see the 98 up inside of the top 10 in points heading into Texas next week. In terms of lap times, it's no contest. Daniel Boyles is besting Destin Bolin by anywhere from 2 to 3/10 of a second. As I believe we've got some drivers on pit road here. This is the final pit stop of the day. Kyle Matthews, the lone man on pit road right now. Casey Hoyt's coming in this time from 3rd. McCrory also coming in from the 4th position. Looks like Levi McIntyre may have already made a pit stop. Let's keep an eye on these drivers here, some of our front runners, because we've already seen pit road bite some of our front runners on that first round. Let's make sure these drivers get onto pit road safely. A bunch of others there towards the tail end of the field coming in. Casey Hoyt pulls in the attention of his crew. Looks like he hit his marks perfectly. Anthony McCrory looks to do the same. Daniel Voiles, is he coming to pit road this time? We saw Destin Bolin stay out. I think it was 2 laps longer than Daniel Voiles the last cycle of pit stops. Does he play that same strategy again? Voiles is coming in. Carrying about 50 miles per hour around the outside of turn 11, then right down to 35 miles per hour. Destin Bolin's going to come in this lap as well. And nobody else is close enough to be able to play any kind of strategy. Nick Gunther stays out an extra lap here. It's like Eric Sadler stayed out an extra lap. Jesse Turner. There's Casey Hoyt. He was able to maintain ahead of Anthony McCrory on them coming to pit road. Gunther is coming in this time. Sadler is also coming in along with Jesse Turner. So this should be the completion of the pit stop cycle. Destin Bolin just now got to his pit box. Voiles completes his service. He's down and away. Ooh, a little slow there, trying to make sure he got around the pace car. Could lose him a little bit of time, as Destin Bolin did not have to swing around the pace truck. Now it's going to come down just to raw speed and technique. Could be 10 laps to go when they hit the line this next time by. Destin Bolin doesn't look like he's going to have anybody to contend with. Casey Hoyt, Anthony McCrory a long ways back, so it's mono-e-mono, Ford driver versus Ford driver. Daniel Voiles trying to end a 2+ season long winless streak. Destin Bolin trying to get back into the top 30, and you just saw the caution lights on there through the S's. Yellow flag is out for the second time today, right after the pit stop cycle, and this changes everything. This is the caution that Daniel Voiles did not want to see, and depending on lap times, maybe the caution Destin Bolin wouldn't have wanted to see. I don't know. But now everybody's going to have a shot at the 26 car who's going to hit the line, and he'll pick up the pace car here momentarily. I believe everybody was on the tail end of the lead lap there. Yep, so no lucky dogs, no lap down cars. That's at least good news. But who brought out this yellow is now the other question. If I were to hazard a guess, not necessarily as to the who, but to the how, We were right in the middle of green flag pit stops completing. I'm wondering if somebody might have gotten into somebody else merging out of pit road. We've also seen the top of turn 7 be a trouble spot for drivers. That's what brought out the first caution of the day. Let's go back and take a look, see if we can pinpoint exactly what happened. I think if I'm going to, in any way, shape, or form, figure out who it was, we might have to go and figure out when the lights came out in the pace truck. I did see some dust lingering up the hill of 1 and 2, so that might have been exactly where the incident was, but who it involved still remains the mystery. And it's going to be a couple of Toyotas getting together. 77 of Laura Chung involved in this one as she's making her way up the hill. Reggie Fogelman coming off of pit road, and the two of them make contact. Chung into the tire barrier there as well, and those tires are unforgiving. And look out oncoming traffic as the 5 gets back on the track. Whoa, Dylan Pote, look at that. Just barely able to sneak his way through. Let's show you how close that was. This is on board with the Bass Pro Shops Toyota Camry of Dylan Pote, who very nearly was involved in this thing. Split the gap. Stacked them all up there as well, with those two cars merging back onto the racetrack there. Pit road's open. Nobody on pit lane. I wonder why. That cycle of pit stops, the last time these drivers going to hit pit road outside of necessarily coming down for crash damage repair. And this restart's going to be less than 10 to go. This time at the line, 9 laps remaining, so it should be an 8-lap shootout. We should get the lights out here when the pace truck climbs the hill in the area of 3 and 4. So nobody out of the race after that incident right there, at least at this point in time. As mentioned, the 41 drivers still running. All were on the lead lap once everything cycled around. So that was a fortunate thing too, because if the caution had come out, a couple of drivers, Levi McIntyre, Jessica Schulten, Cody Lamas, Kyle Matthews, they were all 1 lap down. And if the caution had come out just a couple of laps sooner, they still would have been trapped a lap down, and then probably would have taken the wave around, if you will, and restarted ahead of the leaders. The only driver out of the race, Connor Breton. And we should see lights out right here. Yes, we do. So it will be 8 laps to go here to finish out today's race at Sonoma. Daniel Voiles is your race leader. Destin Bolin in second. Casey Hoyt, Anthony McCurry, and Ryan Brommer your top 5. Brommer continues to pick up spots. Caleb Fogler is up to 6th. Dylan Young jumped up to 7th. Benjamin Miles lost a few spots in the pit stop cycle. He's back to 8th. Carson Gum jumped up into the top 10 and 9th. And RJ Bishop in the 10th position. Somebody who was up inside of the top 10 dropped out, which I think it would have been Reggie Fogelman after that contact that we saw there. I'm looking to see if anybody else... No, it looks like it was just Fogelman. Daniel Bouchard is now up to the 11th position, which means I believe he is the highest running rookie of the race. Zachary Fitzwater will restart in 12th. Quentin Moore, Alexander Rowe, Bryce Egan, your top 15. That's going to be Matt McIntyre, Benjamin Snyder, Summer Henson, Cole Deaver. After starting 42nd, 23 positions gained, he will restart 19th, and James Qualls is going to complete the top 20. Nick Gunther, the defending winner of this race from 2 seasons ago, is 21st. Jack Mitchell, 22nd. Eric Sadler in 23rd, Jesse Turner 24th, and 25th, Kyler Sustre. Reggie Fogelman's going to be 26th with Norman, McIntyre, Poteet, and Chung your top 30. So McIntyre up to the 28th position, albeit 6 positions behind Jack Mitchell. So right now, Mitchell would have the points lead over McIntyre by 1 point heading into Texas. Well, here we go. This is going to be more than likely the final restart of the day, barring any future cautions. Daniel Voyles has been the class of the field. He's had the strongest car. But on that pit stop, Dustin Bolin, would he have been able to reel Daniel Voyles in if we had continued to trend this race under green flag conditions? Let's see. Green flag out. Great launch for the 26. Stacked up double wide back there, just outside of the top 10. Ryan Brommer taking a look on McCurry for 4th, nothing doing. Dylan Young with a challenge to Caleb Fogler for 6th. They tuck back in line. No, they don't, actually. Young will stay to the inside of Caleb Fogler heading into turn 4, and he'll make that pass easily. Quentin Moore loose back there. Nice save as he's side by side with Alexander Rowe. That's around 13th. Benjamin Miles very wide there on the exit of turn 7. Carson Gum now side by side with him. That's for 8th. RJ Bishop looking on. Carson going to complete the pass before they get into turn 10. Miles will tuck in line, so Carson up to 8th, Miles back to 9th. Meanwhile, Daniel Voyles has not been able to get away yet from Destin Bolin. Bolin keeping the 26 in check for the time being. Voyles, who at one point enjoyed over 10 seconds over the rest of his competition. As Dylan Young looking racy now, looking for the 5th position on Ryan Brommer. Voyles now starting to leg it out just the least little bit on Destin Bolin. Bolin with about a car length and a half back to Casey Hoyt. Another car length back to Anthony McCurry in 4th. Last time by, Destin Bolin was a tick quicker than Daniel Voyles. 400ths faster. But visibly, it's looking like Daniel Voyles has found that gear again. He is starting to open up the distance. Bolin also opening up a gap back to Casey Hoyt. At this point in time, it's almost looking like the only shot Destin Bolin's going to have at Voyles is if Voyles makes a mistake himself. But Voyles has nobody that he's battling. He has ease of access into these corners, whatever braking zone he wants, whatever entry line he wants. Destin Bolin trying everything he can to close up the gap. That time by, he was 0.6 of a second slower than Daniel Voyles. Voyles at a 1:13.2, Bolin at a 1:13.8. But now, it looks like this lap, Bolin might be a little better. You saw that slide right there out of Daniel Voyles. Bolin will look to take advantage. Casey Hoyt in 3rd also had a massive slide there through turn 4. These drivers digging, trying to get everything that they can. It's like, for the most part, everything single file. Battle back here. This is for the 19th position. Benjamin Snyder, James Qualls. Qualls going to take the spot. Swings out wide. Cole Deaver, Nick Gunther side by side for 20th. Gunther looks to take the advantage off this corner, but Deaver still to driver's right heading into turn 11. Deaver with a shorter way around, but Gunther going to get back to the throttle sooner, and Gunther will get the spot. Move Gunther to 20th. Deaver back to 21st. Sustre now picking up a spot on Jack Mitchell. Moves Sustre to 22nd, and Mitchell back to 23rd. Further up front, Carson Gum trying to close up on Caleb Fogler. Ahead of them, Dylan Young still pressuring Ryan Brommer really wide there as he slid on that rumble strip through turn 4. And the gap's still close between the 26 and the 02. Casey Hoyt right there as well if the top 2 make a mistake. Pretty even gap from first to second to third to fourth, maybe about 4.5 car lengths from one car to the next. That last time by, both Voiles and Bolin were pretty much identical lap times. Let's see about this time by. 1:14.0 for Voiles, 1:14.1 for Bolin. Might be a bit of dirty air coming into play there for the lap times of the 02, but then again, too, when you've got something to chase, you might tend to overextend yourself as well. Voiles has nothing out the windshield but clean racetrack, so he's able to approach these corners maybe a little more conservatively, hit his marks a little bit better. Destin Bolin is trying to do something different than Voiles to be able to gain ground, and maybe that visual ahead of him is hindering rather than helping. It's almost looking like Casey Hoyt is starting to close up the battle for second rather than Bolin closing up the battle for the race lead. You can see this time by, the gap has opened up a lot more from leader back to second. Daniel Voiles hitting his marks, hitting consistent lap times and opening up the gap. Last time by it was a full second. This time by I'd say is probably at least a second and a half. As that time by, 1:13.9 for Voiles, 1:14.4 for Destin Bolin. That's a full half second gained right there. So Daniel Voiles right now legging it out, looking for his first victory in over 2 seasons. North Wilkesboro when he went coast to coast. Or, I'm sorry, last to first I should say, to pick up that victory. That was back in season 6. Voiles started this race from the outside of the front row, got a great launch at the initial start, swung around Zachary Fitzwater, and has not looked back. He has led all laps but 3. Destin Bolin led those 3 laps during the first round of green flag pit stop cycles. And Voiles has been the dominant car of the day. But both of these drivers needed a good run this afternoon. And right now they are in line to both get it. Voiles 35th in the standings, Destin Bolin 38th. Casey Hoyt, 26th, Anthony McCurry, 29th. And those are your top 4 running drivers right now. Going to really be a good points-paying day for all 4 of those machines, provided they can hold on to their current top 5s. Another solid lap there for Daniel Voiles, another half second gained on Destin Bolin, now 2 seconds in hand, back to his nearest competitor. Well, Daniel Voiles, we talk about that win he got at North Wilkesboro. The rest of the season, season 6, did not go well for him. He did not get a playoff spot with that victory. He was mired down the points last season. Mired down in the point standings. This season, mired down in the point standings. But maybe, just maybe, this will turn the fortunes. He had a great run last week at Indianapolis. That set him up for the momentum here this weekend at Sonoma. And this time, out of the final corner, Daniel Voiles is going to see the flag he's been waiting to see ever since the start of this thing. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. That time by, very slow lap time for Daniel Voiles, but even slower for Destin Bolin. It's all over but the crying here. Daniel Voiles just has to hit his marks. He's got 2.5 seconds back to Destin Bolin. No competition in the rearview mirror. Nothing out the windshield. It has been an absolute clinic here this afternoon for Daniel Voiles out of World NOS Racing. Couple more corners to traverse before he will make it 8 for 8 in different drivers going to victory lane here in Season 8 of the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Through turn 11, for the final time, Daniel Voiles will head for home and he will take the Alliance Truck Parts 225K at Sonoma. Boland second, Hoyt third, McCrory in fourth, and the top 5 will be completed by Ryan Brommer. Another consistent outing for the driver out of Auto Junction Racing. It's going to take some time for everybody to cross the line here. 41 drivers will finish under power and all on the lead lap. But it's Daniel Voiles picking up another victory. I want to say this is his 3rd career victory, but I may be wrong in that. But it is his first of the season, and it's a big one. We will have to see how far does this propel him through the point standings. Points are still really, really close. Only 7 races in the books, now 8. Does this move Voiles up into the top 30 in points for a potential wildcard spot? What about Destin Boland? Did this runner-up finish put him back into the top 30 in points for a wildcard position? We'll have to wait and find out as Daniel Voiles will bring it down pit road, and he's headed to victory lane. Standings are official. We'll take a look at them now. Gave your top 5. Dylan Young will bring it home a solid run in 6th after the mechanical problems he was plagued with last week in Indianapolis. Caleb Fogler, great run, needed run for him in 7th. Carson Gum, 8th place run for him. He'll be back into the top 10 in points, I'm sure. RJ Bishop, I think he'll maybe move into the top 10 in points with a great run in 9th. And Benjamin Miles, the consistency continues for that team as he'll bring it home in 10th. Daniel Bouchard's going to get Rookie of the Race. He's going to finish in 11th. Zachary Fitzwater, the pole sitter, 12th. Quentin Moore, another great run for him in 13th. Consistency continues for Matt McIntyre in 14th. And Bryce Egan, one of the 2 drivers that qualified in via knockout qualifying earlier on yesterday. He's going to get 15th place. Alexander Rose, Summer Henson, James Qualls, Benjamin Snyder, and Nick Gunther going to complete the top 20. How about Cole Deaver? Started this race from dead last. He made his way halfway through the field in these 45 laps to finish in 21st. I know 21st doesn't seem like much, but with where he started, that is a heck of a finish for him. Sustre in 22nd. Jack Mitchell will finish in 23rd. That should be enough for Mitchell to take the points lead back heading into Texas, but it's going to be really close still between himself, McIntyre, Qualls, Deaver. Benjamin Miles going to be up in that conversation now. Ryan Brommer potentially also. Going to be a couple new players, and it's going to still be really close for that points lead heading into the Lone Star State. As you take a look at some of the other drivers that were up there in the point standings, not getting the runs they were looking for. Levi McIntyre struggled all day. The points leader coming in will more than likely not be the points leader going out. 31st for him. Joshua Osborne, poor qualifying effort. Left him 33rd at the end of the day. And you see the only driver that didn't reach the conclusion of this one was Connor Breton. He will finish, the only driver out of the race, in 42nd. Some other drivers that were knocking on the door of the top 10 in points that did not get good runs today. Laura Chung, 29th. Michael Norman, 22nd. Matt Haas, 35th. So they will more than likely drop outside of the top 15 in the point standings and will look to rebound next week at the Texas Motor Speedway. But congratulations to Daniel Voiles picking up his first win on the season as he dominates here today, leading 42 of the 45 laps at Sonoma. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race here from Sonoma. If you did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We have shown you full feature results. You're now looking at your point standings as next week, Duracell Ultralight Series and Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers head to the D-shaped 1.5-mile track the Texas Motor Speedway. Getting close to All-Star Race break here as well. Drivers getting these wins, locking themselves into the All-Star Race field. Will we go 9 for 9 next week? We'll have to wait and find out, but until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.